Hello and welcome to my lantern making video. Here are a few examples of some lanterns that I've made using the willow and paper technique. I've made different shapes and I've covered them with different coverings using pressed dried flowers and leaves, black silhouette cutouts and printed papers. They're ideal for festivals and processions like Halloween and Diwali, or just a lovely way to brighten up the corner of your home. Today I'm going to show you how to make a pyramid lantern like this. The structure is made from willow and it's covered in wet strength tissue paper and lit by an LED candlelight. Okay, so here we've got all the tools, equipment and materials that you're going to need to make your lantern. At least 2 pieces of buff willow 6 foot in length, 1 reel of 1-inch masking tape, a pair of wire cutters or garden secateurs. Make sure you're with an adult when using these, a ruler, a pair of scissors, a small amount of white PVA glue, a black bin bag, a small piece of sponge, a plastic container for the glue and water mix, and 2 sheets of wet strength tissue paper. You'll also need an LED candlelight to light up the lantern. So that's all the tools you're going to need. Let's get started. Right, so I've got my 9 pieces of willow. Now I'm going to start putting it all together with the masking tape. Let's cut a few of these off. I need at least 3 for the first stage. I'm going to take 2 of these sticks and holding them not at right angles, but more at sort of 45-degree angle, because I'm going to be making triangles out of these. Take some tape, and to start off with, I'm just going to wrap it round the end of that first stick, bit like a flag, and then I'm going to hold this stick at a join and then start to wrap this bit of tape around the 2 of them. So it's looking a bit like a wishbone now. Take the 3rd stick, again another bit of tape, wrap it round there, again like a flag, hold up the 3rd stick to make that 2nd join, and this is our last joint piece, because the whole of this lantern is a series of triangles basically. So we've got our first triangle. I'm now going to add to that. This is where it starts to become a lot more 3D. So I've got another piece of stick here. So I'm going to start making it into a 3D like a pyramid. So you want to hold it. Maybe you might want to get somebody to help you with this, just so they can hold it while you wrap that round. We're starting to get a sort of pyramid thing going on. Take the 5th stick. Next thing we want to do is to actually add that. We're starting to make the base. Okay, can you see what we're doing here now? 1 more stick here. So we've finished the pyramid now. We just need to check over that it's as straight sided as it can be, bearing in mind it's a natural material that you're working with, and that the ends and the joints are smooth. Now I've got a bit of a rough edge at the top join here. That's going to cause you problems later. It could tear the paper. So I'm going to take another little bit of tape and just put that over the top, smooth that top over, and that is your pyramid ready. Now the next stage is you're going to need the last 3 sticks to make the door to your pyramid. These sticks can be the sort of the weaker sticks. They don't have to be so thick. But you want to make a triangle in the same way as you've made the triangles previously. Well, it just so happens that I've got a triangle that I made earlier. Here we go. You should end up with the pyramid and a triangle. And using the paper, which is the next stage, we're going to link those together, cover them over and be able to make a door with that. Open out the tissue paper and I'm going to lay this triangle onto the tissue paper. So I'm going to draw around it. I'm going to leave an edge of about a centimetre and a half. I'm going to carefully just draw around each side, giving it a little bit of a leeway so that the paper is slightly more than the triangle. You'll need 4 of these paper triangles for your lantern. Try and be as economical as you can with the tissue paper, just in case you need the extra. So I'm not going to get any more out of that piece of paper now. With the 2nd sheet of paper, I'm going to draw another. The other thing we're going to need is 2 pieces of paper for the hinge. the best thing to do for that is to work off the length of your triangle. So that'll be 28 centimeters, and we want to make it about 8 centimeters wide. Again, this doesn't have to be an exact science, it's just a rough guide, because this is going to be 2 pieces that you're going to need for the hinge. So as long as it's roughly rectangular, that'll do fine. You'll need 2 of those. So I'm going to cut these out now. Finished all the cutting out. I'm now going to paste these 4 paper triangles onto the lantern. We're now moving on to what I call the wet stage of making the lantern, and this is the black bin liner and the rest of the masking tape. There we go, that's a good working space, nice and smooth. For this next stage, I'm making the glue mix. So for this piece, you're going to need the plastic carton, the sponge, some water, your glue, and I've actually got a paintbrush, an old paintbrush, to help me mix the glue. Empty the contents of the glue into your plastic container. So I reckon that's about, if you like, 1/3 of a cup of glue in there. And so I'm going to mix almost the same again, the same amount of water in with the glue. With the paintbrush, I'm just going to mix that. Make sure it's well mixed in with the water, so it makes a lovely sort of milky solution like that. Put your glue to one side. Here's your lantern. And we're just going to work on one piece of tissue paper. So I'm going to start with this side. First thing you do, get just a little bit of glue, don't need a lot, and put the glue down onto your bin liner protective coating and lay the tissue paper on top, one triangle on top. Take some more glue, make sure it's well covered. It doesn't have to be soaking wet, you just need it to have a good coating. Now this means that you've got glue coating both sides, which makes it slightly waterproof both sides and helps stick it. Lay it onto your lantern like that, and then tuck the edges over. So that's where the extra bit of paper that I got you to add into the triangle shape helps you to fix it onto the side of the lantern. Just turn it over and smooth it off. Squeeze it down a bit like you've done with the masking tape. Make sure it's well fixed on. Make sure all sides have been turned over. At this stage it will look like a bit of a soggy, baggy covering, but that'll tighten up when it dries. I'm going to do this side next. So you can see what I'm doing here, and on this side I'm just folding it over onto the paper that was on there before. And make sure there's no ends sticking out. Put that to one side, paste it up. So here, the last one, both sides I'm going to have a fold it over onto another side. Can you see that? So now I've covered 3 sides, I've got one side left, but that side is my doorway. So I'm going to turn it up that way, let it dry, and now I'm going to bring in the door of the whole pyramid. Put a layer of glue down again. Turn it over the edges over. Okay, so that's your door done, and that is the pyramid done. I'm going to fix the two together. So here's your rectangular piece of paper. This is going to be the hinge for the door to be attached to the pyramid. And again, I'm going to put down a layer of glue. I'm going to put the bottom of the pyramid halfway along onto this bit of paper, and I'm going to lay this, the doorway, on this side of it. So make sure whether you've tucked it over is on the inside of your lantern, not the outside. And I'm going to just lay that about 1 centimetre away from that edge. This is going to be a paper hinge. I'm going to bring that up and attach it to that hinge like that. So that's the beginning of our hinge. I'm also going to do one now that will go along the inside of the lantern just to strengthen it. So here's my second piece of rectangular paper, and lay that across the top, matching where you've put the last one underneath. Make sure it's going to the edges and tuck those ends in, so that you can see has now become the hinge to the door. I'm now going to leave that to dry sideways, so I've got just two edges lying on the plastic. So the lantern has now been finished. As you can see, the glue's dried, the paper's taut. It's got that sort of drumming sound when you hit it. So the next stage, and show you how to do some way in which to hang it and hold this door to the top. So I'm using a little bit of the end of the willow stick. You can use a skewer or a sharp pencil, and it's just a small hole right at the apex of this triangular door. Turn it round and make a small hole either side of this pyramid, like that, and using the string, thread it through both holes. And I would just make a loophole like that so you can hang it. It also, this little bit of string here allows you enough room to open up and get hold of your light and change your light or switch it on and off. So that is your completed lantern. That's a very basic lantern, and there's lots of things you can do with that basic shape. If you'd like to make one of these lanterns but are struggling to get hold of the materials, I've created this great little lantern kit. It has all the materials you'll need to make your own pyramid lantern. You'll find this on our Etsy shop, The Lantern Yard. So what I want to do now is to show you some of the work that I've done where I've been working freelance with arts organisations and local authorities across the North East to help communities and schools make their own lanterns for their parades and their processions. Thank you for watching my video. I hope it has inspired you to go and make your own fabulous lantern creations.